Hello and welcome back to the Stronghold. It's that time again. It's midweek and I want you to play some Magic so that you can win 2 free rare or better ICRs. This week's midweek Magic event, we are given an all-access backstage pass to the Alchemy format, and we're going to do what we always do with that. We're going to talk about the best deck in the format. But before we get into all that, my crack research team has recently pointed out that we are the only channel doing consistent and timely midweek Magic content. And by crack team, of course, I mean one comment from someone who had nothing at all to do with this monkey image. So be sure to subscribe right here at the Planeswalker Stronghold for all of your future midweek Magic needs, because we will be bringing you a deck list or strategy every single week. Now, what were we talking about this week? Oh, yeah, right. If you've heard me say it once, you've probably heard me say it many, many times. When you're given all access, well, why not play the best deck in the format? And I think that's very solid advice. But today we are not going to be talking about the best deck in the format. And let me tell you why. You see, when it comes to Alchemy, we have already not only talked about the best deck in the format, but also the second best deck in the format, that being Clerics and Dragons. So if today's deck does not ring a bell with you, definitely be sure to go back and check out those videos where I detailed the Clerics and the Dragons deck options. And well, hey, we try and be something for everyone. But for today, we're going to talk about the third best deck in the format. Now, I think one of the key Alchemy budget decks right now is probably Gruul Werewolves. And this is a deck I think will continue to be relevant. One of the reasons I have not encouraged our audience to start building this deck is because I honestly think the red-green new player experience deck for this coming August will be a combination of the Werewolves deck as well as a modified, or I keep wanting to call it modular, but I guess modified is the correct term now, from Kamigawa. I think that will be a sub-theme to the deck, and as such, I think a lot of these cards you may be able to get for free through that deck. But an all-access event, you don't have to have the cards, so I think it's the perfect time to kind of talk about this deck. Now, obviously, we're running some Snowlands here. The well over 50% of our deck is Snowlands. That is to support the removal combinations of Frostbite and the 2 copies of Blizzard Brawl. I think Ascendant Pack Leader is really, really strong and maybe deserves more than a 1-of spot, but I'm really more interested in the 2 and 3 drop spots on this. Of course, Tenacious Pup, if you have played Alchemy at all, this is just an absolute powerhouse uncommon, because it does so much to affect the board state in future turns. Rahilda is one of those mythics that you may not have in your collection, but it doesn't matter because it's all access. You get to play it regardless. Ranger Class is a card I think we're all familiar with at this point, as well as Werewolf Pack Leader. Ranger Class does not benefit from Tenacious Pup because the token comes into play. You are not casting a creature spell. Werewolf Pack Leader, on the other hand, would become a 4/4 off the double green. But in a 2-color deck, double green on turn 2 is not always going to be great. The Kessig Naturalist, of course, is the signpost uncommon for Werewolves. It allows you to generate mana and have more explosive board state. Plus, once it flips, it's a Lord and still gives you mana. Shatter Skull Smashing is a nice bit of removal and a land. Overall, we are running only 22 lands main deck. This gives us 24 with the option to play it as a pain land. Turn 3 is where it really all starts to come together. Reckless Stormseeker is just a defining turn 3. Tovolar also pretty darn good as a way to draw cards, which is lovely. He is legendary. That's why I'm only running 3 copies. 2 might be the right number, but I figure what the heck, in an all access, let's go for 3. Blood Rage Alpha is another one of those alchemy cards that you may or may not have, but it's pretty nice to have that fight ability either off of this card or on the next card that you play. Geist Pack Alpha, another 5/4 trample for 4. When it dies, you seek a permanent card equal to the number of lands you control. So there's a good possibility this is going to jump out and pull something like Huntmaster out or Child of the Pack or something like that. Child of the Pack is an important mana sink in this deck. So when you're generating mana off your Naturalist, you can then use that in your Child of the Pack to get even more token creatures. Or if you flipped, it just functions as another attack side Lord or damage side Lord, depending upon how you want to look at it. In other words, your creatures get +1/+0. So it's not a protective Lord, but hey, there it is. And the Huntmaster just makes a board state all by himself. I mean, it's just absolutely absurd. 10 power toughness board state for 6 mana is pretty darn stupid, especially if some of that mana is coming from something like your Kessig Naturalist, getting you a couple of free-ish mana. Very nice, very nice. Again, the board state is mostly snow-covered. We are running some pathways here because having that fixing option is pretty darn nice. We are running a single Highland Forest as a tap land, and your Rockfell Vales should come into play untapped in most cases. You really don't want this in your hand on your early turn because you don't want to not be able to play your Tenacious Pup on turn 1 if you otherwise have the opportunity. But with so many green sources that come into play untapped, 9 out of the 24 lands on this, there's really no reason that should be any sort of consistent problem. So there it is, guys. Again, I think this is a list we need to be aware of. Take the opportunities to play it when you can, even when you don't own the cards, because I think in August or so, the majority of this you probably will own if you don't already. So there it is. Enjoy the event, guys.
What's that? You didn't catch all that? Well, Matt would like you to know that any deck list applicable to this video can be found down in the doobly-doo. And hey, let's not forget, the whole reason to participate in these totally free midweek Magic events is the prize support is awesome. You get a rare for your first and second win, and then you get a random cosmetic for your third. How awesome is that? Alright, so with all that having been said, don't forget, smash the like button like Hulk would. And of course, comment and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And one last thing, myself, I'm coming to you from America, and I have noticed that about 1/3 of my viewership is coming from the US, and about 1/3 is coming from various countries. And there's about 1/3 of my viewership that is just getting lumped into other. So to let me know you got to the end of the video, throw me a comment down in there and let me know where you are watching from.